Yo, 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 skabang. Good people, what's up? How's everybody doing? It's an excellent evening. Welcome back to the Kaleidospoke podcast with your host, Aaron, and the wonderful, the beautiful, no homo, Richie Rich.
Way too kind, no homo. Way too kind.
I'd like to allude to what episode we're on, but I think in one of our previous episodes, I confidently said, yeah, we're definitely episode 6. And then when we went back, it was like, yeah, that was not episode 6. So I'm not even going to allude anymore.
Who's counting? Who's really counting, you know?
Do you know what I mean? And, you know, I'm sure you're listening back to this at some point in the future, way after it was recorded and released. So it's all good anyway. It's all good. If you haven't followed us, get to us on our Spotify, our Apple. Check us out on Instagram, on Twitter. And like, follow. We post a ton of interesting questions. We give you snippets to what's in our upcoming podcast as well. So it's all good. It's all good. You know, if you want to listen back to some of our previous episodes, again, just follow us on Spotify, subscribe, and don't be afraid to leave a review. So yeah. How you doing, my friend? How you doing?
Everything's dandy. Everything is dandy, my friend. Actually, the last episode, I forgot to kind of make a dedication. Right? It was your birthday. It was your birthday a few days ago. And yeah, I just want to say happy belated birthday. You know, you're a great guy. You got a good, vibe and your spirituality, and you're a good guy to be around. So I just wanted to say happy birthday. May you have many blessings and health and prosperity in the next 10 on more plus years. And how did it feel? How was your lockdown birthday?
Well, my birthday was great. It's great to be 21. I've had these are my first years of my 20s. I've got all this kind of vitality. I'm holding on to all of my hair follicles. And it was great, man. It was great. I had to be honest, like being truthful. I had a good time. In this lockdown, from the very beginning, I've been quite creative as to where I can go, what I can do. So, that just continued. And it was good. It was a good time. And thanks for the dedication, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Why, thank you. Well, today we've got some really, really interesting subjects to touch upon. And our first subject is space. In specific, space tourism. As you might know by this point, we are kind of got our fingers on the buzzers when it comes to business. But we're modern philosophers, so we're kind of spread across a ton of subjects. And this space one is great because what's next for us as a species? And it's not. I think there's some answers now. Some people are trying to answer this question: where is next for our species? And you've got a ton of, I'd almost call them celebrity entrepreneurs at this point, right? Because you got a ton of entrepreneurs that are amazing, doing amazing things, but there's a select few that are household names. So you've got the Elon Musk, you've got the Richard Branson, Jack Ma, and Jack Ma's gone missing. Oh shit! Sorry to come off subject. Where's Jack Ma, bro?
He's probably locked up somewhere in like I don't know, Chengdu or something like that. I don't know if that's an actual province, but and he's probably being brainwashed right now, saying you will not be a defect. You will get in line. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, before we continue with the space stuff, I'd like to just shout out to Jack Ma, man. Like the whole Alibaba thing, and dude, it was good while you was here, but obviously he talked a bit too much, and Chinese government, they're not down for all of that. So It might be the end for you, mate. I'm so sorry. It's the game.
Hopefully not, but it'd be interesting. You know, he actually literally has no one that has seen this guy. So who knows? That'd be the biggest conspiracy if he, you know, if he doesn't appear again. But
no one's going to go looking for him. And more importantly, back to the subject, no one's going to go looking for him on Mars. And there are a few entrepreneurs that are going to look at Mars, but more importantly, the moon. And in this space, we've got Richard Branson with Virgin Galactic. We've got Elon Musk with SpaceX, and we've got Jeff Bezos with his kind of private venture, which is Blue Origin. And it's becoming this race now for who's going to be like the first to the moon, but commercially, it's not going to be you know, a discovery mission. It's just like, we know where the moon is. You know, it's about time we start going there, and then a ton of new questions come after that. So, you know, we've been paying attention to this space. I've got some. I saw Virgin Galactic. They're kind of, you know, first in. I thought, all right, let me run a little bet on Virgin Galactic. Let's see where they go. How are you feeling about this sector?
It's interesting. I mean, you know, the idea that people are buying tickets in advance for this space trip, it's mind-boggling. I guess you know, it's funny. It's aimed for like this space tourism, and Virgin Galactic built on this concept of going up to space and coming back down, you know, as an experience. That's a little bit different to trying to colonize Mars. Actually, a lot different. It's just a plane that can go higher. But yeah, it just seems like that. I guess as a billionaire, what else is there? Earth is boring. You've kind of made all the money that, you know, more money than you can spend in a lifetime. So you may as well just like live out your kind of fantasy dreams. And also, I guess it's partly to be significant as well. Like if you can, on this world, you're just doing stuff that's nothing really new under the sun. It's okay. It's a car, or it's a plane, or it's a, you know, for Jeff Bezos, it's Amazon. It's one-click delivery. But that's all well and good. But to say that you've progressed humanity to go edge closer towards Mars is probably a bigger significant footprint to leave on the world. So I think there's a bit of that at play.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that, you know, if you've managed to amass a ton of money and effectively be at a point where you could do whatever you want, and the resources to do whatever you want, now you're kind of in the realm of where's my imagination going to take me? And a lot of these characters, Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk in particular, you know, these are curious minds at work. And, you know, once you marry the curious minds with pretty much unlimited resource, you know, we get the race to space. And again, you're right. Elon Musk is trying to do something else with his journey to Mars. It's probably going to be one way as well. You know, it's not really, there's no return journey on that. So it's interesting, and it's interesting. I think, I don't know where I saw it, but I think the tickets currently around 200 grand for the moon and back, a round trip to the moon.
Is it the Virgin Galactic to the moon, or this is another ticket? Because I think Virgin Galactic is like one trip that goes to orbit and then back, not to the moon and back. But yeah, that ticket's around 100, between 100 and a million, or 100 and a couple of million, depending.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big difference between 100 and a million, but you know, somewhere in there.
Front row seats.
Yeah, somewhere in there is, you know, you're gonna get close to the moon, and at least outside of this atmosphere. And I think one of the key questions is that once you start venturing outside of the orbit of the Earth, whatever, you know, go up, go down, and then you kind of it kind of accelerates to, we're going to go to the moon, and then we're going to come back, and then it accelerates again. Like when we go to the moon, what are we going to do there? And it's only a matter of time if commercially this works. It's only a matter of time before we're at a space in the moon where it's like somebody's kind of colonizing this. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a colonizing is the wrong word. No, somebody's making this an attraction. Do you know what I mean? Because there's only so many times you can go to the moon and jump on the rocks and be like, wow, yeah, this is kind of floaty. Before you know, it's like maybe we want a roller coaster on the moon, or maybe we want a Starbucks on the moon, or maybe we want something that's going to keep us there. And I think it'll be interesting to see if this all comes off, because it's all speculative right now, right?
Mm.
If this all comes off, are we going to see Earth replicated somewhere else in space?
Well, I wouldn't mind finding out. Um, I think it's always been one of those sort of wonders, right? Like, are we alone in this universe? And where are there sort of, where are the aliens? Where are our cousins, long distance cousins? And I think it's like this kind of like, uh, I guess futuristic Finding Nemo type, series. I think one of the interesting things that I've recently read is about space or asteroid mining. So, there's apparently, in asteroids, there's a bunch of metals and minerals that are kind of similar to platinum and other sort of metals. And, that's, I could see that being, there's a big commercial gain to be had for, launch into space and creating a station that can mine these resources and bring it back to Earth. So I I guess all of this plays a part in each other, right? The great the way the technology or the faster the technology improves to get us up there in a very stable and economical way, the more scope we have to again start draining resources from no longer Earth but the other planets. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of scope there. It's actually interesting.
Sure, sure. What I think one of the big considerations is in this current consideration is space waste, right? Like, so, you've got a ton of space stations up there in the atmosphere floating around, and almost the waste of that gets is floating around in the atmosphere as well. So that's going to be a big question. Once you get out there, if you do start mining, where does the waste go? It's space, but who's to say that these objects won't break through our atmosphere and return to Earth in a violent way? You know, um, so I think there'll be a ton of questions once we find a way to get up there, as you said, safely, and start. I don't want to say draining resources, but utilizing resources. And I think it'll be interesting to see what our path is up there. The Elon Musk version of space travel is quite different. It's not simply just go up to the atmosphere and the moon. I'm not actually 100% sure what um his SpaceX activities are supposed to produce for everybody. I know there is an initiative to go to Mars. I know that 100%, but I don't know what his commercial aspect for SpaceX is. Like, have you got any idea?
No, that's the funny thing, right? It feels like it's just this. That's why you have to be this billionaire to play in this playground, because you know they're just sending rockets, sending rockets, sending rockets, and it's like I don't know where this money is coming from, and I don't see how any money's coming back anytime soon. So
Mm,
again, it's just this. It feels like the commercial was like maybe 50 years down the line. As long as there's something and someone to bankroll it, that's fine.
mm,
And again, it's kind of like this R&D project of many entities, right?
mm,
NASA sort of was a flop, and so that's I think how SpaceX tried to position itself and get funding. I think,
mm,
or they took over some pieces of NASA.
I don't think it works like that. I think because NASA is like this. It's almost like this quasi governmental private organization, right? And
Mm.
and they work with these companies to kind of, I don't know, break new frontiers. So I don't think, I think the way it works is that you'll get private bankrollers like Elon Musk having to work with NASA in order to make SpaceX a reality. So, you know, this is, I think it's more of a partnership, and it's always going to be a partnership. If you're talking space, you're talking NASA, unless you're talking Russians or Chinese, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But I think one of the questions is, since Armstrong,
Hmm.
why haven't we been on the moon? It feels a bit, since Neil Armstrong, was it 1950s, 60s? I can't believe that we haven't been on the moon and doing the moonwalk in the last 50, 60 years. It's a little strange.
Okay, but okay, let's ask the question then. So, what's the value of going up there? Actually, like, just going up there to say you've been up there. What's the value in that?
It's further exploration, I guess, right? I know. I think a few. There's been missions where these bots have been landed successfully on the moon and roaming around, but I don't know if that has the same versatility that a human would have to venture around. If I don't know, it seems a little.
This is definitely, I don't know, territory. Like this is, we're speculating. This is like the actual definition of a subject that is only speculation, and I think, but it is kind of like entrenched in us as humans, right? Like, there's a space out there. Can we all go, please? How do we get there? And I think these guys are like, look, we don't know how to get there just yet, but we got a ton of money, so we're just gonna try. And I think not everybody, but a ton of people are watching to see what the results end up being. Do you know what I mean? And I'd be highly interested in getting to a point where I could go to the moon for £20 instead of going to Brussels.
Yeah, I mean, £20 to go up to the moon, that sounds like a bargain. Count me in, as long as the probability of me coming back is pretty high.
I don't know if that's ever going to be guaranteed.
Then I'm sticking my two ground on the feet and saying, "Adios,
bro.
Adios, amigo."
Can you imagine if you spent 200 grand to go to the moon and the fucking shit blew up?
Not good.
Bad.
Very.
So, about Elon Musk's kind of exploration of Mars, like, how feasible do you think that is in given what you know? What do you think?
I think at the rate that he's going, unless something happens where he stops, at the rate they're launching and testing, it's definitely possible within, I don't know, like 5-10 years. I mean, probably sooner than that, but I would say 5-10 years. That I think it's possible if they keep testing. But what that results to, I have no idea. Is this going to be another? I guess it's going to be another Neil Armstrong, event where it's like, okay, we're on Mars. Okay, it looks like how we thought it looked, and yeah, let's think about next steps.
Yeah, I think with him, I've heard him speak on the subject a few times. I don't think he's trying to come back. I think he's not going there to put his foot on there. He's going there to kind of make a new civilization, like kind of Dr. Manhattan style, So I think that's a different type of project. That doesn't seem commercial at all. That seems beyond commercial. That's like advancing the civilization to somewhere else.
So what he's going to do effectively is take his Neuralink, make everybody androids, and send them to Mars. Probably fit them with some sort of mechanical heart or some body or sort or other, maybe some AI bot, not even AI bot, like an actual robot, and yeah, everyone lives on for forever and just create other robots and androids.
Potentially, and
There we
you know,
go.
there you go. Like Elon's left us. He's decided to go into a better species, and he doesn't really care about Tesla. He'll duck out, and everyone will be like, "What about Tesla?" He'll be like, "No, I'm on Mars now. Sorry, guys."
Good luck to him.
Yeah. Well, watch this space. Did you see? Did you see that? I was like, watch this space.
Oh,
See that?
you're sharp. You're sharp.
Okay, man. All right. Well, on to our next subject. And the next subject and the subject after, they're cool. They're cool. They're just, it's been a tough year for all of us. And one of the things that most of us could admit to doing is increasing our TV consumption for sure. And now, with Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, Now TV, there's a ton of them. There's a ton of things you could be watching to kind of use up your time, because you're inside. If you got a partner inside, there's only so much you can look at them, and you start thinking, you know what, all I need right now is just a show that I can watch, so that this partner person that I've decided to commit my life to gets out my hair for a little bit, or just at least doesn't speak. So there's been a ton. So what I'm going to ask you, Rich, is this is going to be separated into two categories. I'm going to ask you 3 of your top series of all time, and then 3 of your top series that are still currently going. So the ones of all time, they could either be currently going or finished, but your current ones, they still need to be going.
I don't really have 3 or 3, to be honest.
Right.
And I'm not a big series geek in a way. I think taking everything back, I would say Friends. That's one that's like a classic. I used to love watching it. Channel 4 Fridays. So I'll sort of take it back to that sort of that era. Then, and I'm kind of gonna just name the ones that are on my list and go from there. But I have Breaking Bad with Heisenberg, Mr. Heisenberg. That was awesome. I love that, watching that back to back. Power, which is like another one of my recent favorites. Ozark, that is definitely recent. What else? Game of Thrones. Love that. That was like that kept me going for a long time, because I didn't really get into that until probably it was pretty much finished, or the second to last episode, and so I had a lot of catching up to do. So that definitely kept me. But what I don't like about series and all these, once you get into something, you have this addictiveness, and you want to fill every gap with a little bit of an episode or a quick episode. And these episodes are not short, so yeah. Those are like the 5 on my list.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay. No, I totally hear you, man. It's the way that series are written these days. They're there to engage, like totally engage, and like you said, like 1 hour turns into 6 hours, and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
like what have I done? You know, what actually happened? But there's ways to consume them. You don't have to consume them all at once. I tend not to consume them all at once.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't. It's not necessarily consuming it at once, but it's like, when you've got this unfinished thing, or you have this cliffhanger, and it's like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and it's like, oh, this is so good, because it gives you this bit of like you just need to know. And yeah, and then some people are even they'll stop watching it at nighttime, go to bed, wake up, and have it on their phone as they're going to work on the train. They'll have it on their phone and keep watching it. And it takes over your life. Like, it's dangerous.
You can do, but there's a ton of things that take over your life, and I again, I'm not the biggest TV watcher. I mean, if I'm honest, I tend to watch UFC more than anything on TV. But there have been moments in my life where I've been like, yeah, this is the shit, Um, so I broke mine down into two sections. So like best all time, and then like best that are kind of ongoing, and kind of like modern. So best of all time, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Breaking Bad is it was just so well written. It was so
Mm.
epic, and the pace of it as well. It was like slow, 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 slow. Oh shit, it's happening. Do you know what I mean? And even the concept, this guy is dying anyway. He's dying of cancer, and he's a teacher chemistry and decides to sell meth. It's amazing. What a concept. Do you know what I mean? You got to really sit down and think, shit. This to think of a concept like that, you've been alive. You've seen some shit, and
Genius.
yeah, definitely, 100%, 100%. Breaking Bad for sure. But I did watch it with my sister the other day, my youngest sister, and I said you need to watch this one because it's pretty epic. But I said just get through season one because season one's a bit slow, and you might get a bit turned off if you're looking for like fast pace. But then when I watched it with her, I realized actually it's not that fast paced until season three. So it actually
Mm.
takes some time to really get into it. But epic, if you're a patient person, epic. The second I'd say again of all time, Sopranos. Again, it was just like this other take on the mafia, and you got Tony Soprano, who's like this kind of main character, and what I like about some series is that there's a main protagonist, right? This person is the protagonist, but you also know this person is not good. They're not good. You're rooting for them, but they're not good. And I like that kind of like nuance because that's life, right? Like, a lot of us like to think that we're good, but everyone's just doing what they think they should be doing. To somebody you'll be bad. You'll be the bad guy. And
Mm. Mm.
what I liked about this was that this guy, he's the protagonist, but he is not a good guy. This is a crime boss, and he's doing mad shit.
Mm.
But you kind of see the two sides to him, and you see his life, and that was great. And then I'd say the third one, and I'd say that this one is actually the best of all time, but it did get marred by season 8, which was Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Game of Thrones, like in terms of the writing, I don't think I've watched a series as good, you know. Um it was great. Even the musical scores, some of the scores in this is ridiculous. Like I've downloaded them, like
Mm.
the orchestra, it's just like mad, like, and you just think, shit, man, like so much went into this. And so many people, you say, have you watched Game of Thrones? They're like, nah, it's too fantastical. They hear about dragons, they hear about, oh yeah, this is medieval, and they're like, no, I'm not into it. But it's not really about that. I mean, that's part of it, but this is
Mm.
really
Mm.
about power, and power moves. And that's what I love about that show is epic, man. Um, yeah, yeah.
I love the fact that there was just so many protagonists
Mm,
in the series, and it's like there was so much going on. You're always entertained because you're always trying to understand that character, and that character's always got other elements, multiple elements going on. And so it just kept you interested. It wasn't just about one focused character, which a lot of these things are, and it wasn't predictive like a very, very like played out story script that you could always predict. So it's very unpredictable. And as you say, the screenwriting was great. And as you mentioned, the last episode was just a bit of a funny one, like how it ended. I
yeah,
think it's like a
yeah.
well sort of fact
Oh man.
The disappointment across the world was just like,
Oh, it was unanimous. It was unanimous decision. We all at the end of it, it was like, how could you make this greatness end this way? You know, you've almost tarred the legacy of it. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
And
mm,
yeah, I remember watching that season and I was like, what is this? You know, what on earth is going on here? But you mentioned that is unpredictable. And that was the other thing I loved about it. It was like, you know, like in certain formats of a show, you get this protagonist, they can't really die, you know, like they might get close a couple of times, but they can't really die. But at the end of season one, when the main protagonist gets his head chopped off and he's actually dead, you're like, oh shit, anyone could get it. And it just continues that theme. It continues that theme
yeah.
for the whole time. It's just like anyone could get it. You don't know what's gonna happen. And that was one of the things that was so intriguing about it. Um,
Mm.
I was gonna also put in all time. But it was a battle between this and Sopranos. Mad Men. I was gonna put in all time
Oh yes.
because the one-liners in Mad Men, unrivaled. There's no other show that's got that amount of one-liners in. It's ridiculous.
I think after this show, I'm gonna actually rewatch that back. That is one show that I actually loved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
I totally didn't. I forgot about that.
Mm,
That guy, that guy is just he is the man. He's the
he's the
man. What's his name
guy,
again?
Don Draper.
What was it? Yeah,
Yeah,
Don
and the other
Draper.
guy, what's his name? The old guy, the
With the
oh
grey hair.
yes, him.
Oh, I forget. Not
Oh,
Marty. No, not Marty.
oh, that's gonna burn my soul. That's gonna burn my soul. Oh, anyway, but he
I
was a
don't know.
G as well. He was like these guys. It was such an era in life, you know, in history. You know, I think the 50s and 60s it was, and it was just like, oh, like the way that they would talk to women was mad. Everything was
Yeah.
just so wild. Everything was so wild. They were smoking in the office, get messed up at work, and but that was a show, and I was battling between that and The Sopranos.
Mm,
But The Sopranos did win just because I like the duality. I like the idea that you're rooting for a bad guy. I like that idea.
mm,
It does something to our nature. It's like we know this guy's a bad guy. Why are we rooting for him? I like that feeling.
mm, mm.
I like that feeling. And
Roger Sterling.
yes, my guy. Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh, okay.
My guy. um, as for like so those were the top three of all time in my opinion for me. Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and Sopranos, and then the best kind of modern ongoing ones for me currently are, I'd say, Black Mirror. Black Mirror is there, and the reason why I say Black Mirror is because how the thought provocation is strong. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Mm,
you watch it and you're like, every episode you leave feeling slightly uneasy. You're like,
mm,
like how close are we to this? You know, it's like,
mm,
this is very, very close. You know, and you instantly start to draw the parallels between this reality and what you're watching. And I like that feeling of like, shit, man, like I'm being challenged a little bit here. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
You
mm.
know, like how close are we to this point where technology is this kind of dominant in our lives, and it's not far. It's every episode is like, yeah, it's not far from this. It's not far. It's so close.
The one that I always remember, and it's like so. It just rings so many bells. Or just rang so many bells. The one where everybody has this like social score, and
Mm,
like all your interactions can be rated, and like I think this person was trying to get a house or something,
mhm.
and they couldn't get a house because they didn't have enough sort of social score, like or likes or whatever it was, these credits, and it was just like this is like the world that we're leading into, and almost pretty much there in some aspects we are there. It's just a bit of a accentuated view of it, but yeah, that was quite real.
I was actually having that conversation today about this very episode, and
Yeah.
who I was speaking to, she was saying, like she really liked that episode too, and I was like, that's one of my favorite ones. She said, we're so close. I said, we're not so close. Like you can argue that many things that we've been doing for a long time are this, like a credit report or credit scores. You could just apply it to the same thing,
Mm,
or
mm,
your Uber rating even, It's so interesting that sometimes I run into people and they ask for their Uber rating. I tell them, it's like, it's 4.1. And they're like, how come it's not 5? And in my mind, that's like, it shouldn't matter to you because it doesn't really matter. But to them, to them, and naturally, it's like someone slighted us somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody said something that has kind of impeded on who I think I am. Like, I'm a 5 out of 5.
mm,
And
mm,
now I'm a 4.1 because more than one person has said I'm not a 5.
mm,
Why?
mm,
Why?
mm.
So it's like that's why that episode is so potent. It's like shit, man.
Yes.
It's there. It's there. It definitely, that one's in the feels, and a lot of the episodes in Black Mirror are in the feels. Like they're like, oh, that is so close to where we're at right now. If not,
Mm,
it's where
mm.
we're at. The next one is for me, and a lot of people haven't watched it. I know I encouraged you to watch it this week. Is Gamora, which is epic. It's levels above so many things. Like it's and what it is based on um kind of the recent events, not so recent, but maybe the early 2000s events of the Camorra in Naples. It's based on that. So it's also based on a book written in that time. But you start to see again, it's like you've got all these characters. And if you think Game of Thrones is morally gray, this shit is morally black. Like this is so immoral. It's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And you're watching it, and again, it's the same thing. You got protagonists, main protagonists, but these guys are bad. They are bad guys. You do root for them, but they're bad. Like the worst. They're the worst. If this wasn't a series, and this was real life, as it was real life, you know, you would see these guys and be like, no, 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 don't even get close to this person. Don't look at them. If they look at you, look away, walk away. If they're in the same road as you, leave the road. And you're watching it and you're just thinking, man, but the storyline is so good because, I think we're used to seeing like the Italian mafia kind of like Sicilian mafia. It's like everyone's got a suit, everyone's dapper, everyone's power moves, everyone's living in like relatively nice places, and there's that link between America and Italy and all of that. But this is not that. This is like Top Boy, but in Italy. and
Mm.
and is I even found out, the Neapolitans, they speak a kind of dialect of Italian that like regular Italians can't really understand, which is quite interesting, because that's what's spoken in the show. So
Yeah.
I've ran into a lot of Italians when I say, oh yeah, I watch Gamora. They're like, oh, you watch Gamora? Like, yeah, that's good. And they're like, I said, yeah, but it's hard to find episodes with the right subtitles. And they said, yeah, it's the same for us. We're looking for the subtitles too, And it's like, but isn't it Italian? They're like, nah, these Neapolitans, they speak something else. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's again, epic, bro. I recommend it highly. Everyone listening, Gamora, if you can find it, it's on Amazon Prime. But I know on Amazon Prime you have to pay for it. So not like I am shilling anything in particular or kind of like encouraging you to break any laws. But, there are a number of apps that you might want to look at to kind of source Gamora, maybe a little bit off the books. But, I can't name any names, Cinema HD, but, do your thing. And
You are getting raided next week. You're getting raided. Sorry, I do not even know this guy. This is a guest interview.
Okay, so and the last one for me, again, this one was quite hard because when I think of like the best that are modern still going, there's a ton of them. You mentioned Ozark. Ozark is great. I really like Ozark, like highly kind of regard it. But I think for me, the last one there for me is Peaky Blinders, because I like the Englishness of it, you know. Um, you got these kind of gangsters in Birmingham, and you've got Cillian Murphy, or I think he's called Cillian Murphy or Killian Murphy. His eyes are so blue, and sometimes in these shows, small kind of aspects like that, they kind of captivate you. This guy's got the bluest eyes, and he's
Mm,
doing the maddest dirt, and
mm,
and
mm.
again, it reflects some era of history that was in English society at that time. So yeah, Peaky Blinders, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's set in Birmingham, which is great, as opposed to the kind of UK stuff is set in London. London's the capital. Everything happens here. But this was like, no, this is Birmingham. This is a different thing. You got this guy with all this power and his family, and you've got the kind of like relationship to gypsies, and I love it. I don't know. Have you ever watched it? Ever watched it? Sorry.
I haven't actually,
Mm.
but I know it caught a big wave a few years back. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of my lists. I just haven't got around to watching it.
It's
Didn't
this
even try.
this is all time, bro. This is all time. It's all time.
Yeah, when I'm like 65, retirement, got nothing better to do. Yeah,
Sure. We
I'll give it a watch.
yeah. This is all after we've like Kaleidospoke podcast has 1 million viewers, and Spotify buy us for 50 million, not 100, because only Joe can get 100, but we'll get 50, and then we'll watch some TV, because what else do you do after that?
Yeah, there's nothing else to do. Just Netflix, just binge.
Yeah, I will say though, before so I would say for me, the best modern ones that are still going on for me: Gamora, Black Mirror, and Peaky Blinders. But I will say, um, Westworld. Westworld is epic, and actually, of all time, of any season, it has the best musical score. Like, there's there's
Mm,
there's just one scene that the musical score is so ridiculous. It's got like a violin, and it's, oh bro, like it brings you to tears. It's that epic. It's like, oh sugar, and
wow.
and you're watching what's happening at the time, and it's so emotional. You're like, oh shit, and it's those kind of scores that you have to like take out of the show, download the score itself, and then sometimes you're in the bath, and you're just sitting there, and you're just like, oh, I just want to hear some violins. That's the one.
Nice. Now you know what now everyone knows what you do in your spare time, in the bath. Yeah.
This is what
Bath
happens.
time sessions.
This is what happens when you're 21. You get sophisticated. Do you know what I mean?
Clearly.
All right. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right. So for our final subject, this one is quite related to what we were just talking about. But this is about, I think when we brought it up, the initial question was like, who would you want on a podcast most, right? And then we kind of amended it to like, actually, no, that's not the one. So it's more like, who would you want to go to dinner with, alive or dead? If you had one shot of going to dinner with anybody in the world ever, who would it be?
So for me, I had to think about this a bit, but I couldn't. I was limited to my kind of recency bias, but I think the one um, person that I would like to have dinner with is, given that on the day we're recording this, it's Monday, 18th of January, which is Martin Luther King Day. So yeah, he would be one of the top guys that I would probably want to have dinner with and just break bread and just hear his thoughts, because I feel like he left a great mark, especially in recent modern history. Anyway, he left a great mark on the world. And when I've watched like videos of him, like interviews, this guy was only like 28 in this particular interview, and he spoke like he was 45. I was so shocked when I think the interviewer asked him his age, and he said he's 28, and he had this aura about him that was just complete and resolve and wise. And I could see how he had this gravity towards him to pull such a crowd and speak to people's hearts. And it was just yeah, such a shame that he his life was taken. But yeah, I think and he's been so special in United States history, and of people for people of color, to kind of break down racial segregation, all that. They got a kick. They have an actual day for him.
Mm.
So forever will we live. And so yeah, that'd be one main guy that I would just love to sort of just spend an evening with and have a just have a reasoning. Yeah.
Okay, okay. What kind of things would you ask him or talk to him about?
It depends, right? 'Cause I guess if it would be a retrospective one, but it's more just hearing about his views on how he sees the world. And obviously everyone knows, many people know he's like great speeches, and his great speech about he has a dream. um but it would just be great to just hear him speak. I wouldn't even ask any questions, because I don't think he's a man who, perhaps you might not even need to ask him a question. He'll just speak, and the knowledge that he'll impart, or his passion about wanting to make the world a better place. It'd be interesting to hear his views of how he sees things now. um but hypothetically speaking, I would just like to listen to his powerful words, and just be moved by it.
Okay, okay, interesting, interesting. And you know, if we try to visualize this dinner, what would you eat him? What would you be eating? I should say. That was an accident. What would you be eating?
um Yeah, it's a good question. I think I would probably be eating like a jerk chicken, rice and peas, or a curry goat and rice, or like an oxtail and butter bean, like, something like with a bit of like a hearty meal, like a
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
soul food you call it,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay. I like that. I like that. What would you be drinking?
Definitely not Ray and Nephew. I don't know if he drank, but I'll probably drink. Oh, I feel like it would be wine,
Mhm.
just because like you could sip it, you could have this like sophisticated conversation. If it's like I'm drinking Guinness, it would be like a bit too much. So yeah, I think it's a red wine
Okay, okay, fair.
or Magnum.
Red wine or Magnum. It's
Oh
either
gosh,
it's either
either or.
it's either gonna be I'm gonna be a sophisticated guy. I'm gonna be a yardie. It's one of the two.
That's how I feel every day.
It's the game. It's the game. There's part of us genetically that's driving us towards certain behavior, and there's part of our experience that's keeping us away from that behavior. So it's the game. Oh yeah, man.
Now, what about you?
Oh man, it was really hard for me, because it's clear, man. There's two people in the world that I idolize, and they're alive right now, and I can think about a ton of people that I'd love to speak to that are no longer with us, and have probably had more impact in the world than these guys. But I think I had a toss up. I had a ton of toss ups actually, but I think ultimately it would be Dave Chappelle. I'd want to sit down with him because this guy is just he's there's a ton of wisdom from this guy, and he sees life quite interestingly, quite ironically, which is shaped the way that I see life as well. Um,
Mm,
but he's somebody that I know that it would just be an entertaining dinner, and like
mm,
like
mm.
you, I could just sit there. I don't know what I'm gonna ask him. I'll just sit there. Whatever you want to say, I don't care. I'll be like a fanboy, just like just just listening to whatever you got to say. Of course, yes. Um, and I also think that potentially, like I could see after the dinner, be like, "Oh, so what's going on now?" And they'd be like, "Well, I'm going over here. I'm going to do some mushrooms." I'd be like, "All right, I'm coming." You know, I could just see it going off into like some other tangent, and I feel that it would be an adventure potentially. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Why does Dave Chappelle resonate with you so much?
Because of comedy, man. Because of comedy and the way that he sees life. He's a conscious person. He's aware of what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And the way that he could look at what's going on and then like reframe it and then put it out there again in a completely ironic way, yet so pertinent, so accurate. Like I feel that I that's how I interpret life too. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
I could make a metaphor out of anything. Do you know what I mean? And
mm,
I like to hear more of his metaphors. I'd like to hear more of his experience. I'd like to know the guy even more, like to the nth degree. And and
mm,
and he's just been an idol for me ever since I was a teenager. So
mm.
I mean that's that's the answer to the question for sure, for sure.
And what would you be eating? Where would you be? Like, what would your surroundings look like?
That's a good question. I think I'd be an octopus personally. Um, the surroundings, man. I can see like a big circle table. A big circle table. It's not just me and him. I think there'll be some other people there as well. And just a big circle table. Wine has been thrown around. I think I'd probably be drinking rum straight, but good rum, like Diplomatico or what's the other one? Dictador from Colombia, because that's really smooth and it's so sweet. Like good rum, just straight, like in like a lovely, lovely tumbler. Do you know what I mean? Sexy tumbler, like and
Mm.
just sitting there like a man, like actually like a man.
Right, because that's how a man should be, right?
In a suit,
Tumbler,
in
rum.
tumbler of rum, in a suit, talking about life, just reasoning, having
Nice,
a
nice.
ton of jokes, just joking the whole night away until it's morning time where I'm gonna have to find my way home, wherever that is, So
As I say, who was the other one out of interest?
oh, I had a toss up. Obviously Joe, but I don't know.
All right.
Actually, no, I take that back. No, it wasn't really Joe Rogan. Actually, I think Joe Rogan deserves a jam session. It's like more of like, oh, I'd just like to talk to him. I don't know about dinner, but I'd like to like spend hours with him, just talking, just yeah, no, whatever. Like just one of the
Right.
guys. um, but the actual person that it was a toss up between Dave and it was Duncan Trussell, and I'm not sure how many people know of Duncan Trussell. He directed this thing on Netflix called Midnight Gospel, which is very 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 trippy and deep. It's dude, like in order to come up with this, you're somewhere else. And actually, I've heard a few interviews with him, and not only is a guy, he's a lovely guy. He's so lovely. Not only is that, he is so interested in spirituality and his own journey, and he's so interested in talking about it and discovering more. And this is, it seemed to me like this is like the definition of a curious mind before innocence is lost. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
I'd love to sit down with a character like that. He's just so curious, like majorly
mm,
curious, and he has his conclusions for sure about whatever, but ultimately, this guy, he's just lovely. He's lovely, and the types of stuff he talks about, trippy, super trippy, and it's like, yeah, man,
mm,
I could sit down with you all night and we just talk about trippy shit. That would be great. That would be great. I don't know if I'd eat octopus, but oh, it'd be such a good time. Probably wouldn't even drink. I'd just say, what, just let the drink go. Just put a ton of mushrooms and we do that.
both of your dinners
Mm.
have something to do with mushrooms.
You know how I feel about,
There's mushrooms involved.
you know how you know how I feel about mushrooms. And son, I'm sorry if you're listening to this. I'm so sorry.
Interesting.
So yeah. Look, man, and that rounds it off nicely. Yeah, man, how you feeling? I always ask this at the end of some of the podcasts. How are you feeling about our journey on the podcasting world?
You know what? I've got 1,000 fans banging on my door every morning. It's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
coping with all this fame and the glitz and the glamour. It's tricky. I just a word of advice to podcasters out there: just know what you're getting yourself into. Right? It's it's crazy. It's crazy out there.
Yeah,
But I love it.
yeah. I knew you would love it. Actually, I mean, this is perfect for you. This is perfect. I know that 1,000. You're counting them all, and you're like, how come there's not two? Like, what's going on?
I walk past people in the street and I'm like, you should recognize me. I'm joking. or they're looking at me in a funny way and I'm like, do they recognize me? No, I'm joking. It's not even that yet. It's not even that. And I don't really want it to get to that. So
No, you
yeah,
don't.
it's
You don't. Hey, for me, nobody knows. It's my family and a couple of people, but it's great. It's great to be able to talk to somebody like yourself, kind of like an intelligent conversation. Because, bro, I can't lie, yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to mention any names whatsoever, not to incriminate myself. But I have so many conversations that there's zero intellect going into them, and it's fucking bro, it burns my soul sometimes. It's like, oh my god, I'd rather speak to somebody who's on, as opposed to
why,
somebody.
thank you.
Yeah, you're on, bro. You're on. I'd rather just speak to somebody that's got, like thinking and wants to go forward and is about progression and is about philosophy and is about, So that's why I love this. This is great. This is great.
Yeah. This is like talk therapy almost, right? And I think, as guys, we don't maybe some, but guys in general, me personally anyway, I don't really, not a man of many words. Like I don't talk as much as I think my mum does or women do, and so yeah, I mean, it's kind of like an outlet, I'll talk to myself, that's fine. Because I'm my best friend. But and I always agree with myself, so we get along fine.
Today, yeah, I was in the car. I can't remember what I was talking. Oh shit! No, I had a super conversation with myself. I was on the car, and I may or may not have been on my phone, and I had an incident the other day, and anyway, I was on my phone, and I was like, I had a full blown conversation with myself. I was like, bro, how could you be driving and on the phone at the same time? Obviously, which one is more important right now? And I'm like, okay, the driving is more important, but where's the money? On the phone. All right. So which one are you going to do? And I'm having this whole conversation, it's like, like exactly how I just said it. Is like, which one are you going to do? Okay, the phone is the money, but why don't you dedicate to the phone then and not drive? And I was like, yeah, but I need to drive in order to make money. But if I don't drive, then I don't make money. But if I did really dedicate to the phone, then maybe I wouldn't have to drive. And I was having this conversation with my whole self. It's like a disagreement. And then at the end, there was a resolution. It was like, yeah. I was like, oh, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think it's just part of the talk to yourself club, especially in a car. Car's the best place to talk to yourself. So yeah, the car in the shower.
The car in the shower. I tend to talk. So I'm in the car a lot. So I tend to talk to myself in the car, and even sometimes I might hear a certain song. Can you, bro? I'm about to expose myself, but when you're in the car and you listen to a song, yeah, and you're like, "Did you just hear what he said?" And you're talking to yourself. You're like, "Who are you talking to?"
Your left ear is talking to your right ear.
Bro, sometimes, and who gets me like that? Sometimes I'm listening to Gets, and it's like, did you just fucking clock what the guy just said, bro? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I was like, yeah, all right then, play it. And it's like, maybe you need to talk to somebody. So maybe you need to start a podcast, because I don't know how many.
Maybe. Don't know how many conversations you want to have with yourself.
Yeah, they're all entertaining to me, you know, like, and usually they end with conclusions. So, you know. All right, well, guys, you know, thanks a lot for tuning in again. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Again, if you want to check out any of our other episodes, subscribe, and they'll come straight to your phone as soon as they're out. They're out every Monday around about, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. They're out. So as soon as you wake up on Monday, it's there, boom, ready. So, guys, have a great week and enjoy. Boom.